What's going on, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Rudy in the house here. Rudy's Rant, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shoma, aka Rudy the Hammer. We talk facts for feelings. In case you see in the top right corner, I have added a logo to it. It's called Full Court Press. This is where I will also be including all of my NBA content into a separate platform, Full Court Press, because I'm separating everything that I do. I got one for women, I got one for men, I got baseball, football, MMA, BKFC, all that stuff. It's all going into its own home. So check it out. I appreciate you, and I thank you all for jumping on board and checking out the video. This video is about the Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James drama, which isn't going away. Can you imagine someone saying, I wasn't going to talk about it? I wasn't going to talk about it, but I had no choice. Child, please. Wasn't going to talk about it, but I had no choice. Stephen A. Smith went on Gil's Arena, and I got to say, from what I saw from Gil's Arena, I was a little bit disappointed in their lack of clapback against this bull crap. I've made my feelings known about the situation with Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. I thought it was weak. I actually agree with it. I thought it was a punk move. I don't like it. You had an ability and opportunity to talk to this man for quite some time. You could have confronted him anywhere. You waited to do it during a basketball game, which I thought was a little bit odd. That's not really, hey, you do what you do. But when Stephen A. Smith just stood there and took it, I was like, God dang, man, he just emasculated your sorry butt. He just embarrassed you, homie. He made you look like a punk. You said nothing. You've had Stephen A. Smith, the man who never has nothing to say, had nothing to say. Because the way I saw it, he was pissing down his own leg. Now, on Gil's Arena, comes on the show, and he talks more about the story that he wasn't going to talk about. Now, think about that. Remember this now. He's now talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, and he just keeps on talking about it. So let me play for you. I'm playing this in two separate spots. Let's play for you part of it, and then I'm going to play another part. So, because I got part of it from a video on Twitter, and then I got another part from a video on Twitter, but it was from another podcast who chopped it up a little bit more, I think it was Joe Budden, I think, actually, who I got it from. And I'm going to play the other half of it on from them. But let's take a look at it, listen to this stuff, man.
What do you make of LeBron confronting you in the aftermath of that situation?
I thought it was weak. I thought it was some bullshit. But in the moment, I knew that I was listening to a father. Here's what happened. I'm represented by William Morris Endeavor. The founder of William Morris Endeavor, Ari Emanuel, had courtside seats right next to the Lakers bench. He had Larry David with him, star of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm sitting with them. I get there in the first quarter. I'm sitting courtside, and I stand up, and then I got my head turned. And then I turned back around, and a lot of people thought this was the end of the game or something like that. This was in the third quarter. Apparently, LeBron had walked out of the timeout, and I turned around, and he's right here in my face. He said, yo, you got to stop talking shit about my son. You got to stop fucking with my son. That's my son. That's my son. And I was like, what? He said, nah, fuck that. I said, yo, let's talk later. He's like, fuck that. Nah, fuck that. You got to stop fucking with my son. And I said, all right, though. And he walked off. So I remember during a timeout in the first quarter, seeing Bronny. And Bronny looked over at me, and he had this sad look on his face. And I'm imagining Pop saw that shit. It hit him. Yeah. And he couldn't hold it, and he rolled up on me.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh my God, this man tells a story. Like, how the hell do they sit there in that studio with a stone face without busting out laughing? I looked over at Bronny. He had this sad look on his face, and Pops probably saw it, and he couldn't hold it anymore, except that he held it for the second quarter. He held it through halftime. He held it after halftime. He held it again through the third quarter up until the end of the third quarter when he couldn't hold it anymore because of the sad look in Bronny's face. Get the fuck out of here. Is this not the biggest bunch of bullshit you've ever heard? Oh my goodness, Stephen A. Smith, my dude is a storyteller. Nah, man, he saw you or was told you were there, and he found that opportunity to come at your ass. That's what happened. No, it was because you looked over at Bronny and you saw Bronny so sad. Oh my God. That is what did it. Not the 5.5 months of talking shit about LeBron and Bronny. Yo, this man is a storyteller. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You should have been prepared when you went to the game, because you sure as shit are prepared now to tell a story. Yes, most of it's probably true. That sounds utterly ridiculous. Let's continue.
And so when I went on the air the next morning, first things first, believe it or not, I know this is shocking for people to believe, but I didn't have any intentions on talking about it until I woke up that morning and saw that the shit had gone viral. Once the shit had gone viral, the bosses at ESPN, now you got to talk about it. This is you and him. You got to talk about it. I said, fine. So I go on the air and I...
Bullshit. Bullshit. There's no way in the world you are going to sit here and tell me you are the executive producer of your own show, and your bosses told you you have to talk about an altercation with LeBron James that was of a personal nature. There's no way. There's no way. I don't believe you. Again, I don't believe him. I don't believe him. If he told his bosses that he's not talking about it, are you really going to sit here and tell me that the man that just signed a 5-year, $100 million deal is being required to speak about something that's not criminal in nature, was not him being arrested, was not him doing something that got him in trouble, but nothing more than an NBA player who happened to be LeBron James getting in his face because he didn't like the shit that Stephen A. Smith had to say about him and his kid? But the bosses are going to force him to talk about it? Does that remotely sound real to you? I mean, I have a hard time stomaching that one. I think that's complete bullshit. I'd love to know what people think in the comments, but I think that's complete and utter bullshit. This is another way to cap and cover his ass and say, bullshit. Stephen A. Smith runs his own show. Fuck you out of here. Stephen A. Smith wants to make up a story to cover up the fact that he got his ass embarrassed. He was publicly humiliated, and he was made to look like an utter fucking punk. That's what happened. You're not going to sit here and tell me that the boss, his boss, who probably makes a fraction of what he makes, is going to tell him Because you know what? I'm gonna say this. There's a contradiction that tells you that there's no way that the boss has told him this. And I'm gonna point it out for you. But yeah, I'm gonna do what the boss says. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Come on.
I said, the first thing that I'm going to do is establish that this was a father talking to me, not a player. And that was what threw me off. And I was glad, even though I thought that he misrepresented the argument, I was glad he did. Because you see, what he was really talking about, which was confirmed with his conversation with Richard Jefferson, is that I was talking about him as a father. And so what happens is that had he said that to me, then I wouldn't have been thrown off. I'd have came right back at him. Yes, I was.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You capping ass motherfucker. You wouldn't. You would have stood there like the bitch you stood there to be, pissing down your leg with that 6'9", 265-pound man, scared out your damn mind that he was gonna knock you upside your head. Except for the fact there was no way he would ever touch you. But you believed that he might, which is why you said nothing. No, you weren't. I was thrown off. Stephen A. Smith was thrown off. No, man, we know what you've been saying. You've been talking shit about Bronny. You've been talking shit about LeBron. It's been about all that. We know what the hell it was. We all know that he's in the NBA because LeBron pushed that narrative and pushed it there. We all know it. We all know that a year ago you talked trash about Bronny and LeBron about when Bronny said what he said, when LeBron said what he said about Bronny can play in the NBA right now and it's better than the Lakers, better than players on the Lakers right now. We know it. I remember when it was said. I remember when you said what you said when he got drafted. I remember what you like. Stephen A. Smith really thinks people are stupid, but no, he was thrown off. And you done said the same shit over and over again about this man. It was nothing different. You've been questioning him as a father now for months. No, just recently. LeBron James knew that those mics were catching exactly what he said to Richard Jefferson. He knew. He knows it. Why do you think you see LeBron James all the time covering his mouth, always covering his mouth like this, covering it so you can't hear? He does this all the time. And then now Richard Jefferson is literally on the job. You're hugging him, you're kissing him, you're doing your little thing with him, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden you're not covering your mouth like this. You're not telling Richard Jefferson to cover his microphone. Stop it, man. LeBron knew exactly what he was doing when he said what he said to Richard Jefferson. He got to keep that narrative, man. He got to keep that narrative, man. You know what he was talking about? You talking, man? We know what it was about. It was nothing different said 2 weeks ago or a week ago that wasn't said for the last 6 months.
I was talking about you. You did this shit, which I'll get to in a second. But because he didn't do that, I said, fine, you let it go. Mind you.
Reminder, Bronny's a professional athlete, last I checked, making $2 million a year. So fuck you, LeBron. I'm talking about whoever the goddamn well I feel like talking. But Stephen A. Smith don't have the balls to say that. He's real tough now again on another show where LeBron's not sitting 2 feet from him.
I just agreed to my contract. I'm courtside. That day was when it was announced.
Here's the contradiction.
It's all over, everywhere.
We talked about
I be right.
Yeah.
It's a nationally televised game. The cameras are rolling, and I'm like, if I do anything, this is gonna be a scene. Now, we can sit up here in front all we want to and act like we don't work for somebody. Damn it, I work for Walt Disney. And if I had gotten into some shit with him at courtside right there at that moment, no matter how right I would have been, it would have been wrong. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. But once I saw the tape of him talking to Richard Jefferson Saturday night in Boston, that was when I got really pissed because that was confirmation.
Now that's why I got pissed. I saw the tape of Richard Jefferson. That was the confirmation. Get the fuck out of here, man. Stop. Stop, bro. Stop. The lie can, like, how long are you going to continue this lie? Just admit the truth. You were scared. Just admit it. No, now we blaming the fact that you had just signed your contract. Come on, man. Now it was the contract signing. They couldn't tear it up. You signed it already. It's inked. What were you going to do if something had popped up? What was going to pop off, Stephen A? Two grown men having an argument? What's popping up? A second ago, you said the bosses made me talk about it. 2 minutes earlier, the bosses made me talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. The bosses made me talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't know until it was viral. And now it's, well, if something had popped off, it would nationally televised TV. Everyone would have seen. Stephen A. Smith, everyone would have seen it no matter what. People got their cameras literally pointing at the Laker bench the entirety of the game. There are literally, like, he knows better. There are cameras literally pointing at the team bench on both sides for the entire game. And in this case, you got people sitting behind the bench that are recording your bench the entire game because they're looking for stuff to happen. But no, now it was, I work for Walt Disney, and if something had popped off, I had just signed my contract. You weren't going to get into a fist fight with him. You were going to defend yourself verbally, like adults do. LeBron James ain't going to hit you. He's not that foolish. You're wealthy. You're rich. He's wealthy. He hits you in the face in public. He's going to pay you $1 million, not $100 million for the embarrassment. Because number one, you'd be on the ground, probably knocked the hell out, as he's 6'9", 265, and you're 6'3", 6'2", 180. You're damn near 60 years old. He's a prime athlete. He wasn't going to hit you. What would have popped off? No, you were taken aback. You were shook. You were caught off guard. Man, stop it. So now I'm going to move into another video from this, basically continuing this video. But this one in here was from Joe Budden Clips fan page. And here again, like I said, listening to no one speak and no one say a word. Man, that was weak shit, bro. That's weak. You got him there. Why don't you put him on the spot? You didn't have to talk about. Again, he contradicted himself because a second earlier it was, well, if something had popped off, I work for Walt Disney. Well, you worked for Walt Disney when you were talking about it on ESPN. You've been working for Walt Disney every single time you rip this man and his kid. Every time you talk, every time you run your mouth about this man and his son, rightfully so, by the way. I'm not sitting here saying I have a problem with it because I agree with him. I believe a whole lot more. I think a lot more than he thinks. But you have every right to say what you had to say. And you have every right to speak back. No, all right, dog. No. But now we're gonna get the post game. Let's keep talking about it. You were ordered by your bosses on ESPN. Remember, Walt Disney. Were you ordered to do it on your own podcast? No. Were you ordered to do it on Gil's Arena? No. You could have said, I don't want to talk about this particular topic here. Could have said that. No. You want to talk about it. You want to. And then you said it's weak ass shit. Yeah, it may have been a punk move on his part. It may have been. I think it was. I don't think he owes you anything, though. I don't think he has to call you to talk to you. I think he can confront you whenever he feels like it. Do I think that a professional adult to do it certain ways? Yeah, I do. People will say, oh, it's a punk move. I mean, this is a comment here. Here's a comment here from Jaylen Brown, who's right at the top of this thing. And he made some comments here where he said only there was one here from Jaylen Brown that I thought was absolutely hilarious. where he basically said, how is the guy who confronts you the weak one? Like that, like, you know, Terrell Owens called Stephen A. Smith and Uncle Tom to his face, and Stephen A. Smith did nothing besides run his mouth on First Take. Max Kellerman embarrassed him so bad with actual facts and knowledge that Stephen A. Smith had Max fired. JJ Redick embarrassed Stephen A. so bad and humiliated him. Stephen A. is a bitch in person, but runs his mouth on TV. Proof is out there. That's just someone. Los Angeles V. Like, bro, you said, I'm begging you as a father to stop this. Then call Bronny a Make-A-Wish kid. Bro, please get the fuck out of here. Nobody falling for the victim role you trying to play. Stephen A. LeBron hurt my feelings tour, bro. Gonna play the victim for the rest of the year. This is all about Stephen A. Smith. This is hilarious. This is something that Kenyon Martin, who is actually surprising, he says this because Kenyon Martin is a guy that doesn't turn the other cheek, which he's admitted he's not. But let's show you this one right here.
People do that to people, right? Like people do that to people where they know what the response is gonna be, right? If he thought that Stephen was gonna be on bullshit in the moment, ain't no way he would have did that in that moment, right? If he thought there was a slight chance that this shit can go left, right? They're not gonna put themselves in that situation. Trust. You approach me, it ain't gonna be the fucking narrative that you. It's gonna be way worse than what you. Listen, it started out as you, motherfucker, and then take me out in cuffs. Cool. You bought this ass whooping upon yourself in public because you thought that was gonna be the narrative. It's not gonna be the fucking narrative. They do that shit to people who they think and they know they can get away with it in public.
All right. So let's look at that. Okay, now I hadn't seen that clip. I just popped it up, but let's look at that clip for 1 second real quick. Let's think about that for a second. Yes. Do I think that he does that to a guy who is 6'10", 260, like a Kenyon Martin, who is a fighter? No, I don't think he does that. But I don't think even Kenyon Martin would get into a fight over that. I don't think at this age, I don't think he would. Would he have years ago? Yeah, for sure. I don't think he would. I don't even think Kenyon Martin would have. But I also think this. Why does everything have to be responded with fists? I mean, are we adults or are we children? We're adults. Why is the response to everything someone throwing some flipping hands? I don't understand that logic. You don't have to throw hands. This man said what he said. You can respond in kind and say, I don't give a fuck. It was about you. It was about him. It was about all y'all. So fuck y'all and how you approach me here. Go fuck yourself. And if LeBron wants to take it there and throw hands, well, LeBron's going to be taken off of the court in cuffs and suspended for the rest of the season. It doesn't take hands to, like, see, that's everyone's response now is like, we're going to start fighting each other. I'm getting there 50 years old, man. I'm not getting into a fight with anybody. If you want to get into a fight with me, man, bro, I'm not an active participant in that. Call me a pussy all day. I got a family to take care of. I got more important things to be in the fist fights. That's just preposterous. I'm not a professional boxer. I'm not an MMA fighter. I'm not here to throw hands. And if I was, then I'd be a dangerous weapon to you, and then it would be even a bigger problem if I decided to throw hands with you. But let's show you the other video here, continuation. So here we go. This is a continuation. It might be clipped up a little bit, but yeah, this is a continuation of this thing.
When I got really pissed because that was confirmation. Now let's get to the father thing. And I'm so glad y'all asked me about this shit, because all I would ask is that I've been around for 30 years. Tell me the parent that said they heard me talking about them. I've never done it. What happened was this man was the one that said, you want me, draft him. I'll come play anywhere he's at. It ain't even about the money. This man is the one who said he's better than some of the NBA players are right now when he was in high school. If you go back and look at the tape, back then I said, stop. you can't do this. If you do that shit, you're bringing more pressure on your son. LeBron, stop. I said it then. This is before he got drafted. Stop doing this. He goes to USC. He got the heart ailment. I'm like, thank God he's okay. He gonna be all right. But I'm not gonna go see him at USC, just like I didn't go see him at Sierra Canyon, because like I ain't see Melo's son. I heard your son is all world. I ain't see him. Your son, I never saw these guys until they came pro, because I know. No, it's not that.
Okay.
I know that because of who I am and what I've established for myself in this industry, if I walk into an arena, everybody is looking for me to critique that person. And I don't want to do that because they want to come up. I'm not covering college. I'm covering pro.
And they kids.
Huh?
And again, he's just so self-absorbed. Oh, they're gonna want me to critique them because of who I am. No, they're not. First of all, we all know that if you walk in, you think you're big swinging Dick Willie. Like you think that you think you got more presence at a Sierra Canyon game than the parents that are there who are professional athletes. Elijah Arenas is a monster. Like, have you watch clips of that? Watch video of that dude. That dude is incredible. He's incredible. He's a beast. Sorry, you showing up isn't putting any pressure on Bronny James or Carmelo's Cayenne Anthony or Elijah Arenas or any one of these guys' kids. Man, he really thinks that he is who's putting pressure. Man, stop. And no one cares about your opinion about a high school basketball player. Hell, most people don't care about your opinion about a professional basketball player. Again, examples of being so completely self-absorbed. Just like people don't care about mine. It's entertainment. It's entertainment.
They kid. Well, I'm saying, but if I was a college reporter, then I would have had to. But I wasn't. So why am I going to be there?
No, college reporters do not have to cover high school athletes. What the fuck is he talking about? He just said if I was a college reporter, I'd have to cover a high school kid. No, you would not. No, you would not. There are high school reporters. There are recruiting analysts, high school recruiting guys. There are college reporters. The college reporters at ESPN are not going to high school football games, Stephen A. Trust me on that. I've covered high schools. I've covered recruiting. And the guys that were at UM, or the lady who covered UM when I was covering my high school football and UM for my website, she never went to a high school game. She didn't know anything about those players. Stop, man. He's just making he's making this up.
I didn't want to put that extra pressure. So I never went. I went on national television and announced to the world, I'm not going to see him. He goes to USC. I'm not going to see him. It's too much. You
didn't go see him at USC because USC stinks. No one was watching USC. There were 12 and like 20, dude. They stunk. They were terrible. No one was going to watch them. The people in LA weren't going to watch them. I wonder how many games LeBron actually went to.
Too much. And then now he's got to overcome this heart ailment. So I can't judge him. But then they said, oh, he going pro. So then once you say he's going pro, okay, you're talking to the scouts and the evaluators and everybody else. Yo, man, this is them. He'll be lucky to be a second round pick. He'll be lucky. He ain't ready, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I ain't seen him, y'all. I haven't seen him. Then all of a sudden, Rich Paul and others at Clutch, and then the story headlines follow. Boston might be interested. Golden State might be interested. Phoenix might be interested. Clippers might be. You start hearing all of this, and you're like, this could be true, or this could be them wielding their magic to make it look such a way. I say nothing. He gets drafted by the Lakers.
Here's what makes it worse. You said nothing because you never saw him play. You couldn't say shit because you hadn't seen him play. Had you educated yourself, being that he's LeBron James's son and LeBron James making all these comments about how amazing his kid was, you should have actually, as your job, gone to see him play because you are an NBA guy, because you are talking about LeBron on almost a daily basis, that it would have made sense to go see him play specifically because he's the one talking about how amazing his kid was. Hell, he was talking about how amazing Bronny was when Bronny was a junior, not a senior, a junior. So, hey, man, if you had actually seen him play, you could have gone on TV and said, bro, this kid is projected as a what? Anybody who watched him play in high school knew he wasn't a pro. Anybody who watched him in high school knew that he shouldn't be drafted. I don't care what he's doing in the G League. Congratulations to Bronny. He's in the G League. They're not pros, man. Those aren't NBA. Okay, they're pros technically. They're not NBA players. It's like playing minor league baseball, bro. You're not a major leaguer. There's plenty of professional athletes all over the world that play in Turkey and France and Spain, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Philippines. None of those guys can hold a can of paint to an NBA guy. They can't hold They can't hold the damn water bottle for the NBA guys. There's a reason that these guys are not playing in the in the NBA. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. They would give everything to play 1 year in the NBA. They'd make more money in a year in the NBA than they make in their whole life playing in Europe. We all knew he wasn't good enough. We all knew it. Any one of us who saw him play any one of these high school basketball games, we all knew it. We all knew why he got drafted. You should too.
Which everybody knew was gonna happen because the skids were greased, and he gets drafted. I still say nothing.
The skids were greased. He just confirmed what I said, that this shit was extortion. I call this extortion months back, that LeBron extorted the Lakers for this to happen. I said it quite some time ago. I think, but let's continue.
Goes into the pro. It's opening night. Now remember, most cats talk about the league. I cover it. What I mean by that is that you can give your opinion. You might not be on the phone with the commissioner. You might not be on the phone with the executive VP. You might not be on the phone with other people that work in these offices. I am. So because of that, I'm hearing all of this. Yeah, we just going to go along with it. Opening night I'm talking about. Opening night. And we just going to go along with it. Or you hearing the Lakers are just going along with it. You're hearing this stuff. Now, I'm not saying they told me that, meaning the commissioner or Jeannie Buss, but I'm saying you're hearing that from those organizations. So I'm getting all of this. One of those cats standing there.
Staples Center.
Ken Griffey, Senior and Junior, who all-stars, Hall of Famer, and Ken Griffey Jr., they got them there. And again, I've been covering it for 30 years, not NBA, sports. You understand? So how you think it's all looking to me? It's a little bit too choreographed. But I'm still. I'm still like this. Congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking, let's have this moment because LeBron deserves it. The brother, I got him number 2 all time behind Jordan. Right? He's done so much for the league. He's generated so much money. I want to hear about Bronny and the $8 million. As far as I'm concerned, LeBron underpaid. Shit, that's $8 million he should have had in his pocket. It's no big deal to me. But the one thing I did say was that one game right there is the moment. Now you got to go to the G League and earn your stripes. Instead, he's playing and playing and playing. And I'm getting stats. And he go against Philly. They put him in the first quarter. And Tyrese and them gave it to him. And then they plaster on Sports Center 0.3 points, 0.3 rebounds, 0.4 assists, blah, blah, blah. And I said, damn. Why? Because I'm like, now I can't ignore it. Because how am I doing my job? If now you put me in a position where because they put the stats up, everyone is blowing it up.
They didn't have to put the stats up. We all knew. See, this is why he's so cat, man. We all knew. We all knew it already. What are you talking about, bro? Like, you full of shit. We all already knew. We didn't need to see the stats. We could just Google the damn stats. We didn't need ESPN to show it to us. He's sitting here like ESPN had to show it to him. He was talking about it well before that, man. Oh, man, this is why this man's so frustrating. He's acting like they're not your friend, Stephen A. They're not your friends. You brought them clicks. They got you there because they want you to help them with clicks and views, and it works. You bring viewership to certain things. We all want to hear it now. Every podcast under the sun wants to get you on now to repeat this story for the 30th fucking time.
Putting it on all their social media pages, and it's like, how do all of that's happening? But Stephen A. Smith got nothing to say. I can't get away with it no more. So I go on the air and I say the same thing I said over the summer. Yo, LeBron, if we see this, you're his dad and you're a basketball savant. You must see this. Don't do this. Because you're putting him under such a microscope. It's going to be too much for him to overcome. Give him a chance. So that's what I said. And because I prefaced it by saying, as a dad, the only reason I said as a dad is because you marketed yourself as his dad to help him get into the league. Mm-hmm. You didn't do that. Melo didn't do that, or it hasn't yet, and I know he wouldn't.
D-Wade,
Tim Hardaway Sr., Rick Barry, the list goes. None of them did that. None of them. He's the only one. And I said, yo, that's why I'm saying this to you. I don't want to do this. I know your intentions are honorable. Go back and watch the whole tape of me saying it. I know your intentions are honorable. I know you don't mean harm.
No, his intentions were never honorable. That's the problem. See, that's capping again. The intentions were never honorable. Honorable? I'll get into that before we wrap this thing up.
But there's some vultures out here, and they're going to come for him. And how many times over the years, to get to your point, in terms of what you asked me about what you expect from me, Stephen A., blah, blah, how many, find the brothers in the industry that will tell you, I did not give them a lookout. I go up to them all the time. Yo, come here. I'm not going to be able to help you if you get to this point. You need to stop this shit right now because it's coming. It's coming. That, to me, is where I reach back and I pay back by giving cats the heads up of the minefields, because I've been here for 30 years. I got fired. I lost my job. They thought my career was over. I've been through all of this shit, all of it. And I'm like, yo, I know where the minefields lie. And I'm.
All right, man. That's enough of that. This man says a lot to say nothing. End of the day, he didn't have to talk about this. Chose to talk about it. Gilbert Arenas' crew said nothing about nothing. They didn't check him on anything he said in this topic. And the most you got was Kenyon Martin saying what he said. But at the end of the day, the reality was this. LeBron James didn't do nothing for honor. This wasn't about anything honorable. There's nothing honorable in forcing a square peg into a round hole. There's nothing honorable about squeezing your employer to hire your son, to draft your son. That's not honorable. That's manipulative. That's manipulating a situation. There's no honor in that. There's no honor in Bronny James being in the NBA. He can't look at his draft selection at any point in his life and say, yeah, I did that. And if you think that He just can't do it. He can't look in the mirror ever in his life and say, I did that. No, his dad did that. And his dad did that for his own personal, selfish reasons. LeBron James got Bronny into the league because of his own fucking ego. And that's the problem. We've not heard anyone say what the truth truly is. The truth is that LeBron James's ego wanted Bronny in the league. He wanted to flex his power and be the one guy who played long enough in the league to say, my son's in the league and on my team. And he had the power and the cachet to do it because of his greatness. But that's an ego trip. That's not anything about honor. That's nothing about anything that has to do with ethics. That's this man wanted to stroke himself some more and show you what else he could do. And Stephen A. Smith to this day has never called it out. In fact, he sits here and says, I know it was honorable. No, the hell it was not honorable. In fact, it was the opposite of honorable. It was dishonorable. But Stephen A. Smith, I say it again, he got punked publicly, and now he blames 50 different people for why he's talked about this interaction with LeBron James, for which he folded like a tent, like a cheap suit, like a folding chair, and felt completely emasculated. His bosses didn't make him talk about this. They can't make him talk about anything. You're my boss. I have a contract. Fire me. You got to owe me 100. You owe me 100 million. Fire me. You owe me 100 mil. Contract is signed. You owe me 100 million. You're going to fire me for not talking about a topic that I don't feel comfortable talking about in this generation, in this era of media. I don't feel comfortable speaking about this. I am not going to do it. Oh, ESPN wants to fire Stephen A. Smith? Huh. You think he want to be on this podcast in the afternoon saying, these motherfuckers just fired me because I refused to speak about the interaction with LeBron James? What do you believe, people? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. You can leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I know this is a lengthy video. Hope you got down to the end, but I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all so much. This is Rudy's Rant, full court press. Talking facts over feelings here. Like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment. Come on now.